The wooden bench in the park still shivers from the grill's heat when the neighbor steps up, eyes on the lemonade table, and slips a thin, opaque envelope between the paper cups without a word. He presses it flat, smooths a corner with a deliberate finger, then pats the table as if to apologize while the laughter hiccups. The flag on the hyphenated mail slot clicks high and bright, and the envelope's sealed edge glints. Why here? Why now? What's inside? The park smells like cut grass and wood smoke, a Sunday settling into its stride. A mother in a sundress corrals a toddler toward the swings, while an older couple debates the best route around the pond. The lemonade girls, aprons tied in lopsided bows, keep calling attention back to their table as far-off laughter punctuates the hum of conversation. The neighbor, same one who brought pies at Thanksgiving, stands beside the grill, hands in his pockets, nodding at passers-by and trading quick jokes with the cartwheeling teens. Birds hop along the fountain railing, one lands, shakes its feathers, and takes off again. Everything moves with the slow, predictable cadence of a community that knows faces and pet names. A rhythm steady enough to feel like a promise. I step onto the neighbor's porch with a paper bag of muffins, just like I promised. The wood squeaks under my boots, the same creak I heard when she swore she'd been at the town hall meeting the entire evening. She's there, leaning over the rail with arms folded, eyes darting across the yard. The porch light throws a thin circle of orange onto her face. "You better not have burned those," she mutters, reaching for the bag. Her fingers brush mine, sharp, and she pulls back as if startled. "You said you'd be back in 20 minutes? 28, I say, letting the number rest between us. You said you were at the meeting, but the council minutes list you as arriving after 9. You were here before they even opened the doors." She freezes. Her fingers tighten around the bag, knuckles white. The word snags. She glances past me to the street, then back. I stepped out for a second. The woman I was with runs late. I had to come home, grab a notebook, go back. That's all. Her sentence hops and lands unevenly. "You were home when the meeting started?" I probe, leaning on the banister. "You said you heard the whole first half." She opens her mouth, closes it, opens again. "I heard the first half from my living room," she finally says. There was a power flicker. I came out to check the fuse, and I stayed. I thought it was odd you were calling me, but I didn't know what to say." A muffled rumble inside the house makes her look toward the hallway. The light is still on. A tiny digital clock flashes 9:05 in red. I remember the meeting started at 8:30. The clock's light throws a sliver across her sleeve. The minute hand on her watch ticks at 9:07. I slide the bag across the rail. The muffins now sit between us like a tiny truce. "All right," I say. "I'll check the footage. Thanks for telling me." She nods, and the tension in her shoulders loosens just enough to let the breath out. I step back. The porch creaks beneath me again. The evening air is thick with wet mulch, and the soft glow from her hallway light spills into the yard. As I walk away, I glance over my shoulder. She's watching me leave, hand resting on the railing, thumb tracing the grain. The community room smells like damp flyers and spilled coffee. I lean against the counter while Jenna taps a pen against chipped tile, staring at the wall clock that keeps jumpy time. She keeps glancing at me, waiting for me to ask. But I stay quiet until the second minute stretches too long and I ask, "You asked for this, didn't you?" She lets out a breath that rattles her shoulders. "I didn't want to drag you in," she says. But her fingers are already twisting the pen so hard the cap squeaks. "But maybe you already saw the minutes. Neil marked our meeting as starting after the break." "Yeah," I say, pushing off the counter. Makes the rest of it look like he arrived late. You were right to late, she corrects sharply. And he wasn't supposed to see me. He said if you knew, he'd... Jenna's voice scrapes off as she snaps the pen. The two halves fall on the floor and roll toward the trash, clattering like a metronome counting down. I kneel to pick them up and notice the tiny smear of wax on her thumb. She's grinding her heel into the linoleum now, not looking at me. He told you that too? I ask. She throws the pen parts into her palm and slams it onto the table. He told me the council would drop the complaint if I did exactly what he wanted, she says. He wanted me to turn off the recordings for 10 minutes in the break room, then slip the next proposal into the binder labeled emergency. He said the neighbor would handle the rest without anyone asking questions. A sharp knock on the hall door makes both of us flinch. The hallway stays still, a faint hum of the projector still leaking through the walls. I step closer to Jenna, lowering my voice. What did she say about those 10 minutes? She called them a seam in the day, she whispers. Told me she had a dentist appointment and to tell everyone she'd gone for emergency help. She gave me the key to the media closet before the budget vote and said she'd be back before the applause ended. I reach into my pocket for the council minutes, sliding the paper toward her. The notation about the neighbor arriving after the break is circled now. Did that happen because of Jenna's absence? And when she was gone, I say, what did she look like? Where was she? Jenna turns her head slowly. She was already upstairs near the old storage door. She kept checking her watch. Then she texted me the map from her phone showing the path behind the library office. She swallows, squeezing the minutes until the paper crinkles. It lined up with the gaps in her schedule you noticed. Wednesday stretching from noon to 2 with nothing listed, like she vanished right when the votes needed a hand. The room hums louder, the fluorescent light flickering. The door handle rattles again, but no one comes in. I stand up, push the minutes onto the counter, and feel the warmth of Jenna's palm press against my hand for a second before she snatches it back. You've got to keep that under your sleeve, she murmurs, sliding the document toward the kitchen sink as if concealing it is a physical act of loyalty. If she sees you're the only one who knows, she'll go back to telling the others I'm the one who messed up. Not going to happen, I say, gripping the edge of the sink. We patch her gap, Jenna. We make sure someone's watching that seam the next time she slips out. She exhales, the sound a crack that snaps into silence. Maybe we can swap the security log with the janitor at noon, she says, eyes opening like she's pulling a plan out of the air. He knows something's off too. He'll cover the break room if I can get him there for just 10 minutes. The door handle wobbles again, heavier. The hallway stays quiet, but the pressure is there, like the neighbor could pull the handle down at any second. I nod to Jenna, a quick, sharp motion, and she sweeps the minutes back into her bag, zipping it shut with trembling fingers. We do it tomorrow, I say, needing concrete traction under the tension. You tell the janitor, I'll be in the hall watching the clock. We'll keep her from slipping through that seam. Jenna leans back, letting her spine hit the counter, an involuntary release. Her eyes blink fast, and she cracks a half smile that doesn't reach the corners of her mouth. I don't want to go back to that room, she says, which sounds less like a confession and more like a warning. Then let's finish it, I say. No more secret gaps, no more fake appointments. She nods once, forcefully, and the tension doesn't leave, but it's focused now, like a wound being held open just long enough to treat. I slide my hand over the minutes once more, feeling the indentation of the circle Jenna made, and fold it into my pocket. The door handle stays still. For now, we have a plan to cover the gap, and a confession that proves the neighbor wasn't acting alone. The community office still smells like burnt coffee when Remy slides the laptop onto the scarred table. He clips the reader to the maintenance port beside the council minutes stack, and the screen flickers blue under his fingers. "These are the log dumps from the network at 2:10, he says, tapping the cursor through a matrix of timestamps. The same cluster of nodes that lit up when Jenna's recorder went dark now pulses with a different signature. A neighbor-only Bluetooth ID. Quiet until the exact second a resident's phone pinged the intercom. Every time Marcus or Lila's phones wake up, her device answers before the system logs anything else. Remy adds, voice low enough that the room shrinks around the whisper. Jenna leans forward, elbows hitting the table. My thumb hovers over the trackpad, dragging a log entry to the center of the screen. A message thread swells into view. No subject, just timestamps, and a single line every few minutes. Tell Marcus no council talk tonight. He owes me for the gardening. The neighbor texted. Another entry. If the recorder buzzes, call it a glitch and shut it off. The two new names blink in low light on the laptop fisheye, along with the precise seconds her device exchanged keys with those phones. The forensic trail smacks of coordination. Every time someone new arrived in a private corridor, the neighbor was there in the background signal, nudging them back into silence. The door creaks open. The neighbor fills the frame with her wide grin, carrying a bag of pastries like normalcy. "You're all still here?" she says, stepping in with a breeze of sugar. Remy snaps the laptop closed with a thunk that makes her pause. I open it again and slide the message thread toward her, the screen showing the latest command to Marcus. "You're not supposed to see this," she says. But her fingers curl around the doorframe, knuckles pale. Jenna stands, eyes steady, but her voice stays calm. "Marcus wants to speak tomorrow if he can. Maybe you should stop telling him what to do." The neighbor's breath quickens. She tries to reach for the laptop, hand hovering over the keyboard like a moth unsure where to land. "You can't prove anything," she hisses. But the log is still there, bright and patient in the dim room. She steps back, gagging on the angle of the light and the way the culprit name is spelled out one keystroke at a time. She shoves the door open with a slam that shakes papers off the table and leaves the pastries on the sill like a peace offering she never delivered. Remy exhales and spins the laptop around so the screen faces the group again. "That sequence holds," he says. The handshake, the text, the silence. Jenna collects the printed log sheets and slides them into a binder. I nod and scribble Marcus's name on a sticky note, then lean into the speakerphone cradle and dial the number from the suspicious thread. The phone rings once, twice, before cutting to voicemail. "Marcus, it's me. We have something to follow up on. Call back," I say, leaving the message clipped and sure. The room feels lighter. The new names, the recorded strings, the neighbor's retreat, each is a small payday. We can show the council more than accusations now. We have a map of manipulative pokes. Remy shuts the laptop with a soft click as Jenna slides the binder toward the center, the forensic cues still glowing in the monitor's afterimage. The cafeteria chatter stops when Marcus pushes his chair back so hard it drags across tile. He doesn't wait for introductions. "We have a thread," he says, slapping the printouts on the table. Jenna leans in, fingers splayed over the highlighted lines. "Keep quiet or you won't be able to lease the west lot," she reads. Same phrasing as the texts she sent Jenna last month. Same delivery number that popped on Remy's logs. Same time frame as the disappearances of the council recordings. Lila grabs a napkin, jotting the timestamps Marcus reads aloud. Every time Marcus or I tried to bring up the minutes, the neighbor's device pinged first. She wasn't just nearby, she was orchestrating it. she snaps, words clipped, urgent. From the doorway, the neighbor steps back into the room, shoulders straight, eyes flaring. "You're spreading rumors again," she mutters, but her hands tremble as she drags the door open wider. "Not rumors," Marcus says, standing. He holds up a phone display, the logs from Remy, the same ones she'd stormed out over. Blackmail chains, neighbor to resident, connecting her to the council silences. It's on the record. We match the handshake with every interruption of the minutes. You collapsed the meeting every time you texted Marcus to keep it down. A breeze from the open door sweeps through. The neighbor lunges toward the table, ready to grab the phone, but Jenna steps in front. "Hands off," she hisses, eyes locked on the neighbor's. Her voice cracks, then steadies. "You told me to stop the recorder or lose my job. You said I'd ruin everyone's chance for the proposal if I didn't do it. I stopped it. For you." The neighbor's jaw clenches. A beat stretches, then the neighbor turns away and starts toward the exit. "Walk away," Marcus says, voice low but carrying. The neighbor stops, head tilted, a challenge hanging in the air. "No, you walk away. I've done nothing wrong. You can't prove coercion with your little logs." Jenna slides a folder across the table. Pages of council attendance matching the neighbor's time gaps, with the recorded blackmail phrases aligned next to them. "Look, the only time our minutes go quiet is when your phone pings when Marcus is speaking. The only time the proposal binder goes missing is when you text Jenna to drop it. The only time council members back down is after your hands-on instructions." Silence fills the room. The neighbor's gaze flicks from Marcus to Jenna, and then past them to the hallway, where other residents linger, drawn by the confrontation. Lila pushes her chair back, breathing hard. "We locked the binders in the secretary's office tonight. Jen, you work the next session with me. Marcus, keep the recorder on regardless. If she tries to storm in again, we note it. We keep this documented." She looks at the group, faces raw, but not defeated. We don't let her rewrite the minutes. The door clicks shut behind the neighbor as she steps into the corridor. In the quiet that follows, Jenna exhales, shoulders dropping only slightly. Marcus picks up the phone, fingers brushing the highlighted text. "We send this to the council attorney," he says, sliding the printouts into the folder. "We also tell everyone what we have." He glances toward Lila. "And that we're no longer consenting to silence." The neighbor's footsteps fade, but the tremor of the confrontation hangs between us. A compact victory, a warning that silence will no longer be a tool she controls. Mini payoffs. The council now knows exactly what pattern to watch. Jenna is back on the recorder with Lila, and Marcus commits to documenting every interruption. The neighbor leaves with the truth exposed and the council members more united, eyes fixed on keeping their conversations transparent. Remy sweeps the table clear, shoving the last stale bagel onto a paper plate so the projector can breathe. Fluorescent light throws sharp rectangles across the community room as he plugs the laptop into the wall. "Watch the spikes," he says, dragging the handshake log onto the screen. The graph pops up, blue peaks biting each other, and he hits play. Time-stamped pings march across it. 1803, neighbor device awake. 1804, Marcus's phone. 1804, Lila's. Every time Marcus or Lila touch a mic, her phone is the first to respond. Remy says, sweeping a hand through the air. She's not stuck in her apartment. She's orchestrating this. Lila shoves the bookshelf aside again, elbowing at the warped planks until the seam dissolves into a gap. The plywood door swings inward with a screech that makes Jenna flinch. The smell of dust and old wiring washes over us the instant the light comes on. Marcus drops the floorboard cover, and Remy flicks on a headlamp. The hidden room is exactly what the logs promised. Rows of binders stamped with council dates, sticky notes with Marcus's name, Jenna's, even Kira's. On a sideboard, a laptop still open to the network map shows the neighbor's device pinging every time Marcus's phone wakes up. Nothing is guesswork anymore. The neighbor orchestrated the fractures, and this room is the switchboard. Remy grabs the nearest binder and flips it open. The paper inside isn't generic. It's a schedule of coercive moments. Week of the break, he reads, pointing. Inserted a note to call Jenna about the proposal binder during the pause. Remind her leases go dark if she speaks. Jenna doesn't speak, but her fingers curl white around the recorder's handle. She wrote the threats herself, Lila says, and the room echoes with the metallic clack of a shutter as Marcus photographs the page. The neighbor's voice comes from the stairwell before she reaches the landing. Are you insane? She yells, and her feet thud down the stairs. She doesn't pause. She barrels in, face pale with a different fury. You can't do this. You have no right in here. She lunges toward the binder in Marcus's hands. Jenna steps forward, blocking her with a shoulder. You already did it, Marcus says, never letting the binder drop. The log on the counter matches your texts telling Marcus and Lila to interrupt recordings. This room is where you keep the instructions. Remy trains the video camera on her as she swipes at Jenna's arm. Jenna wraps her free hand around the recorder's switch and presses. The red light blinks steady. I'm not going to help you destroy me, Marcus, she spits, but her voice cracks. She tries to reach for the laptop. Lila steps between, her hand on the desk. We have what you planned, what you threatened Jenna with. We're going straight to the council attorney. We're handing this binder and these logs over today, Lila says, eyes on Remy. The neighbor lunges again. Marcus doesn't pull back. He guides her toward the doorway with controlled steps, handing the binder to Jenna mid-motion. You can leave, he says, keeping her moving, or we call the city sheriff right now. You don't get to talk your way out of this room anymore. She stops once she crosses the threshold, shoulders shaking. Jenna's headlamp cuts across her face. I'm done, she hisses, and then she's gone. The door slams, shaking the shampoo bottles on the counter. Lila presses her palm flat against the desk. We record this walkthrough and send it with the binder, she says. Jenna, you can lock the council feed until the attorney reviews, like you promised. Jenna nods, hands still shaking, and pulls a small padlock from her pocket, clicking it around the recorder's toggle. No more interruptions, no more silence. We have the hidden room, the binder, the witness in the recording, Remy adds, scrolling through the footage. Marcus pulls up the handshake logs again and slides the laptop toward Jenna. We give the attorney every file, every text. We get the neighborhood meeting rescheduled with the proof laid out. The neighbor can't slip back into being trusted now that this room is known. Jenna exhales hard, then smiles a little. The motion small but real. She wanted silence, she says, and her fingers drum the desk. Now the silence is locked out, and the recorder is on. We stand in the council hall. The hidden room's binders open on the long table like a confession. The recorder's light steady in the dim. Jenna's hands still tremble where she locked it. Breath even now that the instructions are captured forever. Marcus spreads the blackmail thread beside Remy's timeline, the same loop of text and connections that sent the neighbor out the door with a storm of denial. Lila, eyes fixed on the vacant doorway, draws the shades a little tighter, as if sealing the truth in with them. Kira, fingers white around the petition stack, says nothing. She presses the papers to her chest and nods toward the doorway where the neighbor fled. The door left open by its own exhausted gravity. Outside, the other neighbors cluster. faces raw, the silence between them full of shattered trust that can no longer be repaired. They do not speak of forgiveness or invulnerability. They lean heavier on one another. Jenna staying near the recorder, Marcus near the attorney's chair, Remy near the doorway guarding the evidence. Lila whispers to Jenna, and the two press their palms together on the recorder's case, anchoring themselves in the fact that the manipulations are now a ledger no one can erase. Through the open doorway, the neighborhood night breathes in with the weight of knowing, and the council hall holds its breath, the last murmur of the neighbors' footsteps fading into the past.